Welcome to the show. And the first question I want to hit you up with, where did you get the nickname The Future?
My buddy Josh Baker, he's a fighter back when I was amateur. He trained with me at the gym, and he always used to just yell out, "Hey, Fuge," and somehow that just turned into The Future, and it stuck, and everybody started saying it in the gym, and he nicknamed a lot of guys in the gym, and everybody just kind of keeps what he says, so it stuck.
Nice. Now, tell me a little bit about your background in mixed martial arts.
Actually, I really didn't have one. I just in 2005 I started training at AMC in Kirkland with Matt Hume, and that was pretty much the only martial arts I'd ever had in my whole life. I was in the military, and they did like this little bit of MIC-MAP training in the military, but it's nothing like MMA. So yeah, that's about it, man. Just 7 years now with Matt Hume.
That's crazy. So no wrestling or anything like that?
I was on my senior year when I was getting ready to go into boot camp. I tried getting in shape, so I went on the JV my senior year only of high school wrestling, but it was pretty much pointless. I just kind of did the classes, and I think I got one pin the entire year. I was horrible at it, but yeah, that's about it.
That's crazy, and you've turned it into a spectacular MMA career. So you train with Matt Hume. Anywhere else?
No, I've been with him strictly ever since I started.
Okay, and do you want to tell me a little bit about your training for the Justin Wilcox fight on December 17th?
Yeah, sure. It's tough right now. You know, we're about almost 2 weeks out, so it's crunch time right now. Training is brutal. Sparring is extremely hard right now. We got some great guys in town. Viviano from Canada's here, and then Hayato Sakura from Japan's up here helping me get ready. So it's going to practice is a pain right now, man. It's real tough, but I'm trying to make it through, trying to stay injury free, and try to get this fight going here in a couple weeks.
I really appreciate it. With only a few weeks out before this fight, you take some time for us.
Oh no, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so I want to talk to you with a win over Justin Wilcox, who's a pretty impressive fighter. Do you think this might put you into the title picture?
You know, I would hope so. I mean, I think I'm getting up there. I'm not really sure what Strikeforce is thinking in their minds, but you know, I think beating Wilcox will be huge for my career, and I think within 2 or 3 fights of a title for sure, if not already. So I'm not sure how they're thinking, but that's kind of what's going on in my mind.
Yeah, it'll be 5 straight wins with the promotion, and you know that's usually that's going to put some title shot picture for sure. Let's see what else. Who do you consider your biggest accomplishment in your career? What do you consider your biggest accomplishment in your career?
You know, it's changing every time. When I was an amateur, getting my amateur belts were the biggest, and now every opponent has been, you know, better than the last. So David Douglas, I think, was my biggest stepping stone, where people started to notice me in Strikeforce and kind of put me on the board. But James Terry was my biggest win to date, and beating Justin will be absolutely huge. So they're kind of just going by my opponents. So right now, I think my biggest accomplishment would be defeating James Terry.
Great stuff, man. Okay, now let's talk about your career outside of mixed martial arts. Been reading a lot of stuff on your Wikipedia page, and it talks about how you work with kids with autism and stuff.
Yes. I got into that. My adopted mother, Caros Fodor, she ran a foster home for autistic kids growing up.
Wow.
So my entire childhood, I was, there was 5 of us adopted, and then we had 8 autistic kids or special need kids in the house with us. So it was just kind of natural for me to get into it. It's kind of like the family business, and I've been around all different types of disabilities and worked with all different kinds. So it was my first job in high school, and I just kind of stuck with it, and I'm just doing that on the side. It's great for MMA too, because it's not it's not really physical. It's not like construction or anything. So it's great. It's a great combo.
That's good stuff. Now, on average, how much time would you say you put in at your job and then put in training in a week?
About my job, I put in about 7 hours a day. And then at night, I do my own cardio in the afternoon, like CrossFit and stuff, and that takes about an hour to 2 hours, depending on what it is. And then we usually have a solid 2 hours of training at least at night. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer. And then Saturdays we have 4-hour blocks. So, quite a bit. It's pretty much the majority of my work week is, work, morning practice, and then get off work and go to evening practice.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so next up we have the name game. You tell me what comes to mind when I list off a name. We got 5 names.
Okay.
Okay, so number 1 is James Terry.
James Terry, tough and durable.
Okay, Scott Coker.
A lot of appreciation. Scott's really looked out for me even before the UFC buyout, and I just got a lot of love for him, and I appreciate everything he does. So I think he's a great guy.
Good stuff. Moving on down the list, we got number 3, Matt Hume.
Matt Hume, tough, man, really tough. Great coach. I'm the best coach. Athletic and just a martial arts master for sure.
Now, speaking of Matt Hume, what led you to starting your MMA career with him?
I returned from the war in 2003, and there was like a 2-year period where I was just kind of being a real punk, and I was drinking a lot and getting into these street fights almost every weekend. So those fights actually led me to his gym, because me and my buddies who I was fighting with, we were trying to figure out how we could finish these fights quicker so we could get out of there before the cops came. So we ended up going in there just to learn some skills in these street fights. And I got in there and saw, there was so many pros in there, and I just saw these guys who were getting paid good money to fight, and they were real humble, real nice, and they were beasts. And I was like, man, this is where it's at. And it just that's what led me to them. And then I stuck with it, and my mentality changed after being there. And then, it's just been golden since.
Good deal. Moving on down the list again, we got Nate Hanna.
Frustration. When me and him had a kind of a tough fight. I wish we could have sorted it out better. There's kind of some promotional issues there, but he's a tough guy. I gave it to him. My hat's off to him. I wish we could have come to a decisive, what we were going to call it, a loss or a no contest, and so just some frustration there.
So basically, just to run down the fight for the people that are listening, something happened. They considered it that you tapped out, but it was after the bell?
Yeah, and it was a tough fight. I was doing really good, and then the second round came, he got on top, he got an arm bar. But, he had the arm bar, and he didn't have it extended. I had my arms locked. My coach was right next to the cage, counting me down. We got to 0. The bell rang, and he was extending, so I tapped. But the bell had already rung, so I tapped because I didn't want my arm to get broke. And, the ref called it. It was real close. The ref called it, and, he won. We went back to the locker room with the promotional staff. We watched the video, and they said clearly it was after the bell. We'll call it a no contest. They called it a no contest for about 3 or 4 days. We flew out of Alaska, and then I got an email saying that they're going to stick with the ref's decision and call it a loss. So it was just frustrating. It's not Nate's fault. It's not, I should have kind of made more of a stink to the ref when he started waving it off, but it's just frustrating. But Nate, nothing against Nate though. He had me in the worst position I've ever been in an MMA fight for sure at the time, and I give it to him.
Yeah, because I was on 3 or 4 different sites that have MMA records, and there was one site that's still listed as a no contest. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't remember which site.
I'm kind of just accepting it. It's a loss now. It's on SureDog as a loss, and I always kind of want to move on from it. It kind of sucks, but whatever. He had the armbar, but I was able. I held on until after the bell rang.
For sure. Okay, and moving on to number 5, Frankie Edgar.
Frankie Edgar, tough, man. You can hurt him, and he just keeps coming, man. He's like the Duracell. I don't know, man. You can't count him out, I guess. He's just extremely tough, man. And obviously he's got the UFC title right now, so hopefully one day I can get there and get a shot at him. But, man, he's a beast. He's a guy to look up to for sure.
So, fantasy fight situation. 3-4 weeks from now, Frankie Edgar's going to show up in Strikeforce and take the spot in the fight, how would you face off with Frank Yeager?
Man, well, I'd go for a finish, man. Go for when he goes for those. I have a great guillotine, so when he does those shots, you know, he bounces around and moves a lot, but then he gets those takedowns. I'd have to just hope at this stage of my game, I'd have to hope to catch a lucky guillotine, because I mean you could hurt him, and if you don't, he comes back later on in the fight. So I either have to try to knock him out or grab a submission, because he moves too much. He's got great cardio, and he's really good at winning points throughout the fight. So I mean, you got to go in and go for the kill. And if you don't get it, then it's gonna be a rough night for you. But man, you got to give everything you got, try to put him out quick.
Okay, and while we're talking about fantasy fights, let's throw another one at you. What about a matchup with the current Strikeforce champ, Gilbert Melendez?
Yeah, you know, I'd like to see him fight Frankie. Actually, Gilbert's a great wrestler, but he's got good hands, heavy hands, and great cardio, and a huge heart. He had a fight in Pride that I saw once, man, and they were just slugging it out. I forget who it was with, but it was awesome to watch. Yeah, you know, he's tough. I think he's definitely, the night that I fight, I think he's gonna take Masvidal. Not sure how, but he's tough. Fighting him, you know, I'd have to try to just, I don't know, not let his wrestling be an issue as much. The same as I'm going to not let Wilcox's wrestling try to come into a factor, but yeah, try to strike with him or submit him.
That's awesome, man. Okay, anything else you'd like to promote on the show, such as your Twitter, sponsors, or website?
Oh, yes, sir. Please, in all fans who are interested, you can find all my links at carosfodor.com. And, yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Colbert Mortgage and Toyota of Bellevue. They've been great for this. And thank you very much, sir, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Hopefully we can have you back soon, a little more time. We're crunched for time tonight, but I appreciate you taking some time out of your training schedule to call into the show.
Oh, no, thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay. Have a good night.
Take care.